Hi everybody, I hope you are doing well considering the situation. I hope you're home safe and sound, and if nothing else, maybe getting some more time with family and close friends. But we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going with this distance learning thing, and I'm going to create some video supplements like this one to help you out in addition to the things that are on e-learning. So the thing I want to talk about today is power chords, and this is going to be a direct supplement to what you already have in the course pack and on e-learning. But I want to recap just a couple of important things to start with. One of them is as far as notes go on the fretboard, as we go up the frets, we go up the chromatic scale, right? So every fret is a half step, meaning if we're starting on the low E string, we go up a half step, we get to F, right? There's no accidental between those. There's no E sharp, F flat that's separate from those two. It's just E right to F. But then we go up one more fret and we do get an F sharp or a G flat, right? Remember, it can have two names. It's either the note above F, F sharp, or it's the note below G, G flat. You can think of it either way. For right now, it might be easier to think of it as one or the other. But we have open E, F, F sharp, and then on our third fret we have G. Fourth fret is G sharp. I'm going to use all sharps for right now. Fifth fret is A, and hopefully this one is really familiar, right? Because we use this note to tune. Okay, so we've got E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, and then it keeps going up from there. A sharp, B, and then C. Remember, there's no sharp or flat between B and C. So A on the fifth fret, A sharp, B, C on the eighth fret, and then we get C sharp, D, D sharp, and then E on the 12th fret, right? Open E, E one octave higher on the 12th fret. Okay, cool. So now we go to the A string. Remember, that's the same as our 5th fret on the E string, or it should be if you're in tune. And then on the 1st fret of A, you have A sharp, right? So it's just like the 6th fret of the E string. You have A sharp, 2nd fret is B, 3rd fret is C, then you have C sharp, D on the 5th fret. Again, that's one of our tuning notes, right, for the D string. D sharp, E on the 7th fret, F on the 8th fret, F sharp on the 9th fret, G on the 10th, G sharp on the 11th, and then A, one octave above the open A string. Right? Just like E, the 12th fret is the octave. Okay, here's where this gets useful, because you know all this already, we've covered it. But actually applying it in a way that makes sense kind of gets to be really fun, because when we're dealing with power chords, it's just a shape. Okay, your first finger determines the root, the note that we name the power chord after. And then it's just a shape that you can take around anywhere you want on the low E or the A strings. Right? Guitar is cheating. Don't let anyone tell you different. So let's take maybe a really simple open chord progression for right now. I'm going to take maybe G, C, D, C. Actually, let's move it around a little bit more. I'm going to play G to E minor to C, or to D to C. Okay, really simple open chord progression. If some of those chords are not super familiar to you, then you'll probably have to go back and review a little bit, but there are plenty of videos for that in the course pack, or in e-learning, and then there's plenty of information for those chords in the course pack. Okay, here's what I want to do now. If you have a good mental map of the fretboard, that'll help a lot. If you don't have a good mental map, I would actually write out a fretboard diagram the way we've done in class. So if you do that, it becomes really easy to find these notes, because that's all we're going to do next. We're going to find these individual notes on the E and the A string. Okay, so our chord progression is G, E minor, D, C. Okay, so now we need to find G. Well, there it is on the 3rd fret of the low E string, or the 10th fret of the A string. You kind of get your pick, right? You can use either one for what we're about to do. And then we apply the power chord shape. So I'm going to use my first finger to play G. I'm going to use the 3rd fret on the low E string for right now. And then I'm going to play the 5th fret on the A string with my 3rd finger, the 5th fret on the D string with my 4th finger. So now I get this. Okay, here's our shape. It doesn't matter if it's a G major chord, if it's a G minor chord, if it's a G anything else chord. For right now, it's just a G power chord. So here's our G open chord. Here's our G power chord. Sweet. That's the sound of rock and roll. Okay, next up is E, and I don't want to use the open E string for right now, although you can play a power chord on an open string, right? It's still just 2 frets up and then on the next 2 strings. So open E, 2nd fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the D string. But I want to make this just a little bit more comprehensive or holistic, or however you want to think of it, using the whole guitar neck. So I'm going to use E on the 7th fret of the A string, right? A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. Okay, so now we have G to E. Okay, next I need D, right? G, E minor, D. That's on the 5th fret of the A string, right? That's our tuning note. And then C is 2 frets down from that on the 3rd fret of the A string. Okay, so now our chord progression that was G, E minor, D, and C becomes this, a G power chord on the 3rd fret of the low E string, an E power chord on the 7th fret of the A string, a D power chord on the 5th fret of the A string, and a C power chord on the 3rd fret of the A string. So I'll play the 2 back to back now. Here's a G, here's the open chord progression. G, E minor, D, C. Here's the power chords. So that's the Cliff Notes version of how power chords work. What I want you to do for this is take some of the chord progressions in the back of the course pack for the different keys, play them in open position chords, the ones you already know and are comfortable with, and then try applying power chords to those chord progressions. So you'll probably want to write out the notes on the bottom 2 strings of the guitar, right? The E and the A strings, so that you don't have to really slog through every single chord progression. You'll memorize it over time, right? Don't necessarily try to count, especially if you're really bad at counting through the chromatic scale or it takes you a while. Give yourself a visual aid, right? On the other end of things, if a visual aid doesn't help you, but you're really good at thinking through the chromatic scale, then you don't need the visual aid, right? But whatever you're doing, try to challenge yourself to find these notes as quickly as you can and as accurately as you can, more importantly. And then try to play some chord progressions with that. So I'll play a couple other chord progressions maybe just to give you an example. Let's get rid of the E minor chord. Okay, so then let's play maybe something like G, C, D, C, G. And then here it is with power chords. G to C, 3rd fret A string, D, 5th fret A string, back to C, 3rd fret A string, and then back to G on the 3rd fret of the E string. And then all of a sudden you're in the realm of like... and you're ready to go join a punk rock band or a metal band if you hew that way. So that's power chords. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can still get a hold of me through my Western email, and I'm here to help. Thanks, everybody.